So, Barbara, I was just saying, I love to talk about business, especially on Friday, where everyone loves to get away, have a drink, and just forget about work. Me, on the other hand, I love to brainstorm and see what works, what doesn't work, what I like to improve. Is something that I have been doing with my husband. We just go grab a bite and we just talk and plan. I think about the future, where we want to be, the things that we want to achieve, how we want our lifestyle to improve instead of just shrink. Um, and I know we met through business, and we are constantly talking about business, and like the universe had brought us together, and I'm so glad. Um, and we were in our previous company together. That's how we met, and we continue to get our paths together. And recently we heard some news from our previous company, and from back and forward, us talking to one another, we share a few pain points. And I don't know if it was your case. I know my previous company, which was Beachbody, that was my first network marketing company. I was a newbie, and that's when I really learned, quote unquote, about what the business was all about. I had an amazing experience. I would not change anything. Yet now I have like my eyes open, and I have grown and learned so much that I just want to have a conversation and put it out there, because if that was my case, I'm sure there was somebody else, and there's still someone that is new into the industry and are having the pain points, but they're afraid to share it or to ask.
Yeah.
So before we go into details, just share with someone that is just meeting you for the first time a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, like you said, I got into Beachbody as well back in 2013. I had always done the programs, so I joined just because of our sponsor. She approached me on social media, and I had been following a lot of the people from Beachbody because I'd always done the programs and just loved the fitness community. So when she approached me about coaching, I just thought, oh, okay, I'll do it. So I really had no idea about how the business worked. I just knew that I wanted to be part of it, and I wanted to work with her. And I figured I would learn a lot, which I did. I had an amazing time there. I ended up being a 5-star premier 2 years in a row. But like, I was saying the other day, rank really doesn't matter in the long term if you don't know what really generates money. And when you're doing it for fun as a hobby, or if it's just something you're very passionate about and it's not your full-time income, then a lot of what we talk about today probably isn't going to apply. But if it becomes your livelihood, like it did for me, after a year and a half of working the business part-time, I was able to replace my full-time income. I was teaching full-time as a college professor, and I've done that for 15 years. And I decided to leave my job and pursue my business full time, which I did work the business after that for 2 years. But I saw my income leveling out, and I was working harder and harder just to get the same results. And I wasn't getting the duplication and retention in my business. I would train other coaches. I'd bring them on board. They'd say that they would want to build a business, that they wanted to stay home with their family, and that was their dream, their vision. But they would be successful, and then they would just drop off and quit. And I could never understand why I couldn't get someone on board like myself, and that was 4 long years of looking for those people. And I was always a top recruiter. I was always a top, Success Club 10 all-star legend. I made Success Club every single month that I was in that company. So I never missed out. I worked every single day. And I loved it, and I got a lot of people healthy and did all of that. But when it came down to it, again, I thought that I was missing something in my business because I just could not find people who wanted to really run with me. So when I was scrolling through my Facebook newsfeed one day and saw my current sponsor, Rick Gutman, talking about all the issues that I was having, I just found myself watching what he was doing and talking about and following him. and becoming inspired, because at that point I had to go back to work because my income, like I said, had leveled out, and I still I was making enough to pay the bills, but I wasn't making enough to pay the bills and pay back debt. And I just didn't want to have to struggle if I was going to be rebuilding my business yet again. And I did. I felt very like, why couldn't I make this work? I'm a failure, all of these things. But I just knew that, okay, there's got to be something different that I can do. And when I found him and I was following him, it was inspiring me to and motivating me to build again. So when I reached out just to thank him, we became friends on Facebook, and I just saw the quality of the types of people he was attracting on his team. And he was doing these interviews much like we are right now, and having high level conversations with his team members and talking about this business school that he had and how he filtered all of his team, everybody in the downline, not just his personally sponsored people, into this business school where they would learn financial education and how to lead with that rather than with any product. And that really spoke a lot to me, because he said that his retention in his business each week, it was 70 to 94%. And I thought, this guy has it figured out. And a few months after that, he did approach me to come over and work with him in Viseo. And at first I told him no, because I was so emotionally attached to my company. I loved Beachbody, I still do. I still love Beachbody, and I would not trade the experiences I had there for the world. But when and Rick had this conversation with me, he said, I understand. He said, in my first company, he said, I stayed there 2 years longer than I should have. He said, I saw my income, going down by the hundreds of thousands, he said, and I still stayed because I had that loyalty to the company. And he said, but, emotions, you can't run your business with emotion. You have to run your business based on facts and what's happening. And I said, well, I don't think it's the vehicle that I'm in. I think it's me. And he said, no. He said, I don't really think it's you. He said, I think it's a combination of factors. So with that, I just started to look at things, and I didn't want to miss out on working with him. So I had to make that hard decision, and I ended up doing it. I ended up moving, and it's been great.
And you mentioned a broad pain points. I mean, we were talking about emotions. So it's just like a marriage. Sometimes people, stay longer in a marriage because of emotion. It's the same thing when you are building a business, especially if it's the first time. It takes you longer to just break it up. It's an emotional thing. But you mentioned something very important, that it has to play with emotions. Like, was this your first time in network marketing?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so just like myself.
Yes.
So
and I was very emotionally attached. Yeah.
Correct. I think there's many points that played in there. It's like, coming in for the first time, you're learning the business, you're trying to figure how it works. But I think it goes deeper, and it's something that I myself, like I mentioned earlier, I have opened my eyes. And let's talk about the compensation plan, because I think that's one of the things that as you're learning the business, and I think it goes, I mean, a lot of people come into the business, just like you said, because of the product. Some people see the opportunity. So it is an add-on when it comes to an income to whatever they're doing, which is fantastic. Some people don't want to leave their jobs, and that's great. You can still have an extra income without having to get a second job and having to invest time away from your home, which is to me is great. Now, but I think it's vital to really understand the compensation plan, because some people don't even know it, and they are just working because it's a people, it's a cultural thing, and they really don't know any better. So let's talk about people versus volume in the compensation plan.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will say, I went to every single event, training, everything for 4 years while I was with Beachbody. And again, amazing. I learned a lot. However, the first training event that I went to of our business school, Overcome Nation, where it was just our team, and Rick had a business boot camp, and he had it. It was just a weekend. I learned more in that 2 days about how the compensation structure of a binary works and how to maximize the compensation plan and just little intricacies of placement and things than I had learned in 4 years, because it was never really, the compensation plan was never really delved into to a point where you understood this is how you make money and this is how you max out the comp plan and this is the strategy, right? That was never really gone over by the company, and certainly not, in any of our team trainings either. So, Beachbody's binary compensation, and Viseo is also a binary, but Beachbody's compensation structure is people-based, like you said, because they really promote hitting rank, right? So you could be an emerald, you could be a diamond, a 5-star diamond like I was. I was a 5-star diamond who was broke, okay? And there have been many leaders who were 5-star diamonds, and I say that because, like, that's considered to be like, the first real big leadership. And it's not that I was like, broke, but I was at this making the same money. I was making the same money and I wasn't making enough for me to live comfortably. So I was like, well, okay, I'm at 5-star now. That should mean something, because when you get to the first rank, biggest rank, which is the diamond level rank, basically that just means that you've signed up 8 people and they're all on a product. So they may be working the business or they may not be working the business. It doesn't matter. And then 2 of those people have to have, signed on a couple people. So you could, really just, it just depends who you've gotten involved in. People could have signed up for the discount, or they could have signed up because they really wanted to work the business. So because we're not really taught how to lead with the language of business, so many coaches don't feel comfortable talking about signing up to work it. They talk about, well, if you think maybe in the future you might want to actually coach, you can just sign up now as a coach to get the discount, and then down the road you can build your business if you want to. And that's basically what I had. I had a lot of discount coaches, and because I was trying to hit rank, because every time when you get to that first leadership level of 2-star, that's where you start to get quarterly bonuses, right? But you have to maintain that for 6 weeks. So it's all people-based rather than volume-based, because in our company, you can sign up 2 people and you can you can still max out at the team compensation plan or the team commission. You can max out at $28,000 a week with just 2 people signed up. In Beachbody, when you have 2 people signed up, you can max out at $250 for the week in their team commission. And that's a big difference. So because our company does, okay, you have 2 people signed up, that's all that's required, but your volume has to be at a certain point amount on each side. So it actually works in the favor of how network marketing is supposed to be, to where you are increasing the volume of product that's going out into the market, right? So that could be through the 2 individual people that you signed up. It could be from the help that you're getting above, how you're getting people above, putting people in your organization after you, So, and that's why it's just a completely different thing. It's really unlimited, where you can have 2 active people and then qualify for all of these amazing bonuses and hit higher ranks. And even at gold rank, you can qualify for global profit share, and that's just 2 people signed up. And our global profit share, if you came in on a bigger pack like we did, is 5%, and we're already in 12 countries. So that's a pretty big chunk. So it's sort of like, it's sort of like the amount of money to be made here is so much higher, and the mindset of how to actually build your business the right way, where it's not necessarily the number of people you have in your organization, but it's the quality and the amount of product that you're getting out into the marketplace overall through systems, through this method of duplication by leveraging a fulfillment center, and you're, using your network, and all of you are consuming the product, but you're merchandising out a small amount, and that's how it all works. So it's very, very lucrative. And the fact that we can explain that to someone now, like to a small business owner, to someone who has a network, and we show them this, and then they see it and they're like, wow, there's a lot of money to be made here. And you're helping people at the same time build businesses, sort of like setting up franchises, and the company is bonusing you for how well you set up your franchise.
Correct.
Yeah.
And for some of those people that maybe are listening to us from other network marketing companies and they had never
Yes.
heard the word binary, and they
Yeah.
are in something that is called Unilevel, can
Yes.
you tell us a little bit about what is the difference? And a lot of people think that Unilevel is better than binary, or maybe some people even tell you, no, I'm in both, and there's no such thing.
Yeah.
Can you can can you go in details about that?
Yeah. And I mean, I think when people say it's both, they kind of mean that there's elements of both, because, with certain things you can still have check match, and you can, with a Unilevel, you can have that. It's just you're not going to have it the same way. And that is like a binary structure. The difference is a binary, you have, it's sort of like two sides of your organization that you have. It's, a left side and a right side. So you line up people in your organization, and it grows, and those people can sponsor people, and those people can sponsor people. So your business grows that way. And the difference is that's set up for long-term financial stability, and growth, exponential growth. And you maximize on thousands of levels deep, right? You can bring in somebody like your great great grandchildren. We like to call them generations of people, of distributors, that you line up, and then the people that they bring in, right? That's like your second generation. Well, you can check match up to 7 generations deep over here. In a Unilevel, you get cut off a lot of times at 5 or 7 in terms of check match, but also you get cut off in the volume, so that if somebody in your 7th generation brings in a huge leader from another company who also brings in their entire network, you're not getting paid on any of their efforts with the volume. You're not getting to access any of that volume in a Unilevel. So a lot of people never see it, because most people don't get that far in a Unilevel. They don't get that deep, right? Because a Unilevel builds across. So a binary, it builds down this way, and it doesn't matter. You're still going to get that volume, those volume points, from anybody that's brought into the organization, whether they're thousands of levels deep. It doesn't matter. So you're still going to get team commission. So, and a lot of Unilevels too, they have check match at certain, levels, maybe like level up to level 5 or level 7 or whatever, generations, but then they don't have compression. And ours, what's really cool is that we have compression with ours, which means that if somebody drops off in the middle, it bumps them up, right? Somebody else, the rest of them get bumped up. So then we can check match with those people once somebody bumps off. So it's really, really cool, because you can't do that in a Unilevel. A lot of Unilevels, they don't have that compression. So I mean, there's just a lot of little intricate things that you have to look at, long term. If you want to build a business long term, it is so much better to be in a binary than it is for a Unilevel. To be in a Unilevel, Unilevel is quick cash, and most of the money then goes back to the company, because there's major breakage there when you bring somebody in on like the, I don't know, 8th level deep. Somebody comes in that's huge, but you can't get any access to any of that volume. That's broken off right there, and all of that then gets all that gets back to the company. So, and it's more company oriented rather than being distributor oriented, and the binary is more distributor oriented.
The way that I love to describe it is, think about a tree. A tree
Mm-hmm.
has, it's a binary because
Mm-hmm.
the roots they're constantly spreading, and
Yes.
if you look at it, the analogy is to make that tree very strong. So that's
Yes.
what a binary makes sense, and it makes a stronger business. However, if you have no clue what it is, because you just came in and you're making the extra cash, maybe it's something that you want to look into it, because I believe that once you understand it, it really gives you an eye opener, and it really makes you understand what type of a business you have and how strong you can build it. So
Mm-hmm.
we talk about check match already. Let's talk about cycles. I know that in my experience, we're talking about going back to Beachbody. I'm not familiar with other companies.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about cycles and flushing points.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Once you get to a certain level in Beachbody, they do what's called a master flush after so many cycles. Well, we don't have any flushing. Well, first of all, let me just say, it's so different over here because you get to bank volume points just if you remain active. So in Beachbody, you had to have one active distributor or coach on each side in order to start collecting volume. And if you did not, if somebody went inactive and you only had one active person, all of those points that you had accumulated would flush. So that's a big deal, because now if you're over, with Viseo, the way they have it is just if you're active, whether you are, purchasing product or if someone has purchased product from you, as long as you remain active status every 4 weeks, everything that's happening underneath of you and your volume, anything that you purchase that's over 160 points gets dumped into the weaker leg. So you could technically be loving product, using it every month, and then having one side of your tree growing underneath of you, banking all those volume points. You haven't signed anyone up yet, right? Banking all those volume points, and then having anything above 160 points falling into your other leg. So you could have two really strong banks going. So in Beachbody, for example, if you bought like 1,000 volume points of stuff, it stayed in your personal volume. Nothing got dumped into another leg so you could get paid on the points, So now you're getting paid on your own purchases again over here. So that's another thing that's really cool, because it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even have to work this business. If I'm not ready, I can just learn and use the products and remain active on the products. And anytime I decide to purchase more of something within a week, anything, all those extra points that are above 160 fall into my lesser leg. So, my one friend, my best friend, she got in, she just liked the products, and she's been on the products. She's got 50, 60,000 points on her one side that she shares with me. And she has not done anything. She's just basically signed on to get the discount and have the products. But that's waiting there for her if and when she ever decides to work the business. And it's willable and transferable, so that even if she never decides to work the business, but one of her children wants to work it, she could transfer it, and then they would have these two banks of volume points just waiting there for them. So if they want to work it and they sign up 2 people, they can cash in on all that accumulated volume that's been happening because the business has been growing underneath of her. So it's really cool how it is over here.
It's better than a savings account if you.
Yeah. And we don't flush. That's the thing. Our points don't flush as long as we're active. But over in Beachbody, you get to a certain point and you have so many cycles and your points will flush. I did not know that because I never got to the point where I made that much money, where there was like a master flush after so many cycles. And it's like, oh my gosh, I think I would have probably cried if that was me and I saw my points flush.
I know, and that this is the thing, and this is, I mean, the reason why I wanted to hop on and talk about it, because I know that there's a lot of things that we were blind to,
Yeah.
just because maybe you don't get exposed to it because you're not at X level, and maybe you will never get exposed to it because it's just the way the philosophy is.
Hmm.
Um, and that's what I love here about the business school is that we are, you know, since the beginning they open your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing that I love is the fact that everyone qualify for the training. There's
Hmm.
no you need to be here in order to get this training. No, everybody's
Right.
exposed to it, and it doesn't fall on our shoulders.
Well, and it's funny
So
because all of us, like, we would go to other events too, to learn network strategies, social media strategies, everything about our industry. Whereas now we're getting everything all in one in our business school.
mhm,
We don't have to go to any other outside, conference or whatever to learn something outside of what we're being taught, in our team, or, we don't have to go to network marketing events, like to learn how to maximize a compensation plan, or how to do attraction marketing, or how to do something. We're getting it all in our business school. So, and we're getting it taught live to us, and it's never the same topic, 3 to 4 nights a week. We're always getting different information, and sometimes it's the same information conveyed in a different way,
mhm,
which is good too. It's always good to hear it over and over. But I just can't stress enough how leading with financial education, it's just so much less work in the long run, because you're
mhm,
attracting the better quality person, and you don't have the headaches of, I've got to run all these challenge groups, and I'll get people on with challenge groups, and then if they love the product, maybe they'll decide to work the business, rather than just going and finding out, okay, who are the kinds of people, if I want to really build a business and build a cash flowing asset that grows exponentially over time to where eventually it becomes passive income, and I don't have to actively be involved,
mhm.
for it to keep cash flowing after I build it, and I build it really stable. I mean, obviously you're always going to have to, be a little involved, because I would want to be involved. But I
Mhm.
mean, when you raise up people and leaders to where they don't need you anymore, and the business kind of takes off, and you can take your foot off the gas a little bit, that is true freedom, right? And that's a true cash flowing asset that can be global. With our previous company, they're only in 3 countries right now, and they've been around, 12, 14 years, I think the coaching opportunity has been around. And we're only 2 years old, and we're already in 12 countries. So, there's just so much more of an opportunity to
Mhm.
really capitalize, especially with the CBD release that we have too. I mean, it's a boom market, and we're right there. So,
And I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's another pain point
mhm,
that many people are not even aware is the fact that let's talk about the products because I think one of the most important things that I was attracted from this company was the fact that when I found out about other products in my mind, like I can approach a total uh, different levels, different ages to help people
mhm,
because we have a little bit of everything. It doesn't overlap one another, it doesn't compete with one another. And that is
mhm,
something that I was never exposed to.
yeah.
And I believe that now when I look back, we were really competing with ourselves with the same thing over and over. Here is totally different. There's a little bit of for everyone. So let's talk about
Mhm.
that pain point.
Yeah, I mean, with our previous company, I mean, everyone needs health and fitness, obviously, but not everybody wants to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times there is a huge, like, I don't want to say stigma, but there was a stigma, with us, because people had opinions, oh, you can't call yourself a coach if you don't have a fitness background and blah, blah, blah. That was the biggest thing that everybody, hated about our company. They didn't understand that what we really were. We were distributors, but we were providing accountability and support. It wasn't that we were saying we were experts in the health and fitness field. We weren't, right? So that was the first thing that was a major pain point, I think. And it really kind of held me back whenever I would go and approach like gym owners and people like that, because they already had, an idea in their head about who I was or what I was going to do, right? So that was one thing. But the other thing was that you had your some supplementation over there, and you had the workout programs, but you're really kind of just confining yourself to people who want to lose weight. Well, here we have 10 different products, and they cater to all different wellness conditions, right? So we have, something for sleep, something for mental clarity, something for energy, weight management. Now with the CBD, that's with, pain relief and everything else that's associated with CBD, that people are getting relief, with, or help with certain symptoms of different disorders. And it's just amazing. But that's what's really cool too, is that we have 10 products that are each in their own $1 billion category, and they don't compete with each other. You can reach people of every age and every health level. It doesn't really matter. You have something for everyone. So that expands your market as well. But, like even that, the product has to be like top notch, which ours are, just because of the technology and the way that they're formulated. We get maximum absorption, which sets us apart from everybody else. But the fact that we can take that knowledge and to a business owner or to somebody, of influence, and say, look, you can be the first to bring this to your network. These are top notch. Plus, you get a business school where you learn financial education and how to build this the right way so that you can, have something that's stable and that cash flows, to use as an additional stream of revenue for whatever you're currently doing, right? So it's just a different approach, but I love it because it gets the point across. Plus it gets more volume out to the public, which is the overall goal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely. And
Mm-hmm.
another thing I have here on my notes that we went over, I mean, we're talking about pain points today, and I'm sure a lot of people are resonating with all this information. Before we go to the policy change that we find out, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I do like a recap on all this, I'm thinking about, okay, there's no cap, there's no business fees, and we haven't even mentioned that. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's also a plus.
Mm-hmm.
And we mentioned that this is based on volume, not on people. I think that's what education is all about. When you're building a business and you really want to profit and you want to grow it, is understanding that it's not people, but it's volume.
Yeah.
It is attracting the right people, not just for a discount. Now, before I forget, because I got so many things on my mind, let's talk about the business fees, because we want to work smarter, not harder, and
Right.
we're talking about pain points. We want to cut our overhead,
Mm-hmm.
and when we're talking about business fees and we're talking about business, that's why myself, I didn't get involved in a franchise, because I didn't want to deal with overhead. So let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about business fees and how it's so much better
Mm-hmm.
um, when it comes to our business fees. And sometimes it might be something minor to someone, but when you're growing a business and you are at different levels, it becomes a bigger overhead.
Yeah. Well, just with our company, there's a one-time startup fee of $49.95. And then there are no monthly business fees to keep your retail sites open. The only thing that you do pay yearly is $29.95 if you decide to continue on and keep your retail sites open. So in our former company, you had to pay $15.95 a month for one of your business centers. If you had multiple business centers, I had 2 business centers, so I was paying $30 or more a month, like $32 a month, just to keep the 2 business centers open. So think about those people who have multiple business centers, 5, 6, 7. If you have 10 business centers, for example, right? You have 10 business centers. That's $150 a month that you're putting in just to, now obviously if you have 10 business centers, you're probably making some pretty good money. So it doesn't really matter. But when you think about all the money that's going to the company just in business fees, and if you have people coming on as discount coaches, and that's millions upon millions. So there were like 500,000 coaches in the coach network. Not all of them are building, obviously, but if all of them are paying a monthly business fee of $15, how much per year is the company making just on the monthly business fee? That's like, it's millions just off of that, right? So that's one thing. So that's a big difference, which I never really thought about. I thought that every company just had a monthly business fee, The other thing is that if you're going to do this compared to a franchise, you don't have overhead and you don't have franchisee fees. You don't have any of that, compared to a traditional franchise. Plus, you can move this globally, right? You can work this globally. And when you're part of a franchise, say you buy a GNC, you buy into that, then it's going to take you about 2.5 years to actually cash flow from that, where you're in the black, right? You're in the red for the first couple of years because you've put money into it to buy it, right? To buy into it, thousands upon thousands. You have inventory, plus you have to be at that store all the time working it, right? And you have all those other fees, and you have employees and payroll and all that to worry about, right? Well, here you don't have any of that to worry about. You can cash flow immediately. Your startup fee, like I said, is at $49.95 plus whatever you want to purchase to come in with product. And at the most, I think we have a pack that's up to like $1,500 or $1,600. But you don't have to come in on that biggest pack. But if you do, you can make that money back quickly if you bring in a couple people who want to work the business with you. So, and you can sell that product pretty quickly, or you consume the product yourself. It doesn't really, either way, So it's not the same as a traditional business, but there's a lot more money to be made in a lot quicker amount of time when you're doing a business like ours in network marketing. You just
And
have to
you're
make sure you're
doing
aligned with the right one.
correct. And also, which is important, is the fact that you can build it from the comfort of your home.
Yes.
Versus having to go get a second job that it takes time away from your family, and it takes all that mental stress. Nowadays we have the opportunity to have a smartphone, and you can build a solid business just at least investing an hour a day, which is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It is,
It
because
is.
if you bring 2 people on board and then you teach them how to bring 2 people, that's 6 people in your business. And if all of you works 1 hour a day, it's that you worked 6 hours versus 1 hour. You actually put in 1 hour, but your organization put in 6. So when you think about that, as your organization grows, and if it follows that whole duplication where you bring in 2 people, they bring in 2 people, and it goes by Metcalfe's law, by like month 9 you could have over 500 people in your organization if each of them just brings in 1 a month, right? So if that happens, then now you're leveraging, if each of them work 1 hour, 500 hours a day, right? So you see like the potential and how people start to actually make money while they're sleeping. That's the whole idea behind passive income. So your organization, if you're going to build a healthy, strong foundation for an organization, you've got to get people on board. You can start with just 2. You can start with just 2. And 9 months from now, if you follow the duplication process and you just keep working at it, then you could have 500 to 1,000 people in your organization and be capitalizing if all of them are on product and they're all sharing as well and building their own businesses too. That's how you have a healthy organization.
Correct. That is very important to know. Um, Before we wrap it up, I want to mention something that I personally wasn't even aware, and I'm
Okay.
sure there's so many other people maybe in the same boat. Is the policy change? Like, I
Yes.
personally didn't know that when you are in a network marketing, for example, we are talking specifically about Beachbody because that's the one that we met. That's the one where we started. That's the one that we're most familiar with. But like a big majority of people that join, they join for a discount. I didn't know that if you are with one company, at least that was their policy, that you couldn't be involved in
Well,
another company.
it wasn't always like that until the wine business happened. And a bunch of people, no, what actually happened when Beachbody On Demand came out and a lot of the volume tanked, a lot of the leaders panicked and they had a major drop in income. And this was like right around 2015, 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was the volume tanked, people were leaving and taking the downline, like rating the downlines and taking them with them to a different opportunity. At that point, the craze was the wine business. So they instituted a policy that anybody who was an emerald or above could not work more than one network marketing company. At first they said you couldn't at all, even as like a regular coach, but then they changed it because they were like, well, if you are a discount coach, you know, you can stay on, still get the benefits of the discount and work a different business. We don't want to take that away from you. But the idea was if you're actively working this business, you could not work another business. And that was to protect the coaches, actually, like from getting rated, their downlines rated, right? So, and you would be terminated if you were caught with another network marketing company, if you were caught working them and then, you know, trying to solicit Beachbody people at the same time, you would get, you know, well, they would contact you and they would say, okay, we've been made aware of this, you know, you either need to terminate your new account, you know, with your new place, or, you know, you have to make a decision. You know, you have to make a decision with what you want to do. So it wasn't like they just terminated you. It was like, you know, they gave you that option, right? So, but you know, that's why a lot of that started. And then just recently, though, I think because there's been so much of an internal conflict over there, with now they're starting another on-demand fitness line over there, and it's Beachbody starting it, but it's again going to compete with the network. So it's not for the Team Beachbody network, it's for Beachbody, like the company. So Beachbody's always had two sales channels, but they found themselves a lot competing with the network. They built up the network marketing portion, but they're still going direct to consumer with this other sales channel. And now, you know, there's another competing product. So I think the whole policy change now of allowing a diamond level coach, you can be diamond or below, and you now are allowed to work at another company. I think that is indicative of a couple things. It's the company's way of saying, I'm sorry that we're competing with you. You know, because the coaches, I think, were very upset. I know because I was in the leaderboard for a while, and coaches were very upset because they were, at first they thought, oh, this is cool, but then they were like, wait a second, you know,
Mm-hmm.
now we're competing with ourselves in a way. So I think that I don't know the exact reason for the policy change, but I do know that now you can be diamond level and below, and work another network marketing company, even if it is the same, like a competing product. It doesn't matter. My personal opinion is that they're giving people ways to get out and to build somewhere else, because I think that network is eventually going to shut down. That's my personal opinion. I don't know when it's going to happen, but they may just become where they're not like a complete network marketing. They don't have that network marketing
Mm-hmm.
aspect. I don't know when that will happen, but I am predicting that to happen because there's just been too much, too many changes, too many things. And people get upset with that. It's their livelihood. If it's their livelihood, and they're having all of these changes like that, people get tired of that after a while because,
Mm-hmm.
they're not putting the network's interests first.
And no, and I totally agree. I mean, I think the universe guide us on time to,
Yeah.
continue on a different path.
Yeah.
Um, but I agree with you. I mean, I think it wasn't so much working smart because you had to also do your groups, and that was an
Hmm.
extra work that you needed to do. Here we don't have to
Yeah.
do that. Plus you also have to put together trainings and so forth. Here you don't have to
Hmm.
do that.
Hmm.
So the tension was much bigger um,
Hmm.
for what you were trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate about all the changes, but I believe, I mean, I think everybody needs to know about it. I think everybody needs to open their eyes. if,
Yeah.
if you're okay with it, it's fine, but just know that you need to be smart about what you're doing and where you're heading so you are
Yeah.
not caught off guard. That's the way
You
I
should
see it.
always, what I would say to someone too, is always have multiple streams of revenue. Just don't
Mm-hmm.
rely solely on your network marketing business, regardless of what company you're with. Like always have something else, multiple streams of income. And that's what we're taught here. We're taught how to reinvest then the money that we make in network marketing into other cash flowing assets because every rich person in the world has multiple streams of income. You cannot just rely, and that's where a lot of people, I think they got comfortable, in their network marketing business, and they didn't want to, rebuild another business, and they just didn't have any other income streams, because they really just they were just committed to their network marketing business and thought it was going to be around forever, right? So, but you can't do that, not in business. You have to have
And I'm
multiple
glad that you
streams.
mentioned that because what we are here is educating people about passive income as we look into the future. But at the end of
Right.
the day, whether you are working for somebody else in corporate America or whether you're working your business, at the end of the day, it's the same thing. You always need to be smart and you need
Mm-hmm.
to think about having, more than one basket of eggs. And
Yeah.
um, what just like you said, what I love is that you're not only taught how to build it but how to invest it and have those different how to diversify it and keep growing it, so
Yes.
you can be more future oriented than just be in the moment.
Yes. Yes.
So I want to thank you for
Well, thank
hanging
you.
out today on Friday. I hope we just, I mean, gave a lot of value to people. I hope people are not just drowning themselves now in alcohol if
No,
they
I think it
didn't
was
know
good content.
anything.
It was good content.
um,
Yes.
Anything else? How you want to wrap it up? Anything else that we missed or that I missed to mention?
I don't think so. We covered a lot today. I think that's enough
Mm-hmm.
for our networks.
For Friday.
Yeah, for Friday.
Well, if anybody has a question and want to reach out, do not hesitate. That's what we're here for. Just be open-minded, be open to learn about other ways that you can bring income into your family. Um, there's, it's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna
Right.
hurt.
Not going to hurt. Well, thank you for
So
having me.
thank you. Have a great night and God
Thanks.
bless you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.